Welcome to Anglesey, a picturesque island off the northwest coast of Wales and home to one of British motorsport's best kept secrets. It's an undulating, challenging track overlooking the rugged coastline and with a host of brand new facilities. We're here for the CFT Services Ford XR Challenge, an entertaining and established championship featuring two of Britain's best loved cars.
Well, the championship started in early 1980s, 1981 exactly, and it was just basically for XR2s, Mark IIs, and then it's gone from there. Later in the early 90s we introduced the XR3 Mark IV, and that's just been a well-presented championship over all the years. We've had really good grids and it's going from strength to strength. The XR2s and the XR3s are becoming like a classic type of championship now, but to keep it alive we felt that we needed to bring in a more modern car, so that's why we've introduced the ST. Next year I think we're going to have grids of 25, 26.
With 3 races across one weekend, this is a highlight of the CFT Services Ford XR Challenge. The drivers are battling for this trophy and the title of Anglesey champion.
It's a fantastic circuit. Since they built it in 2007, it's been one of the best circuits in the country. I mean, it's got a little bit of everything you'll find on every other race circuit in the country, so it's very well designed.
Yeah, it is a very good track. It's got a lot of fast sections and some real tight parts as well, so yeah, no, it's good, it's good. You're coming down the back straight over 100 mile an hour and then trying to get down into second gear for that very tight left corner. Trying to judge that braking right, it can be so difficult, you know. Either you end up braking far too early or out-braking yourself, and everybody tries to pass you there as well, so quite often you've got to try and block and, you know, cover that corner as well. So yeah, you can't relax.
The first competitive track action of the weekend was qualifying. Steve Paul posted the fastest lap of the session in his XR2, earning him pole position for the first race of the weekend, but he only pipped leading XR3i driver Jason Hennifer to the top spot by just 1/10 of a second. Third fastest was Craig Brookfield in his XR2, while double class champion John Ifan Jones would line up 4th in his XR3i, and with the top 8 covered by just 7/10 of a second, it looked like we're in for some great racing. Sadly though, Jack Minshaw wouldn't make race 1 after crashing out of qualifying. We're all set then for the first race of the weekend. To the right, it's Steve Paul on pole position. To the left, Jason Hennifer waiting for the red lights to go out, and the engine notes rise. Away they go. Good start for the pole position man, and a good start for Craig Brookfield as well from the second row of the grid, and he's got into second place ahead of Jason Hennifer. In fact, Jason has lost another place to Johnny Van Jones in the number 16 XR3i. He jumps into third place, and down the inside goes Michael Heath now up into 4th place on the way through the first hairpin, but that is him on the grass now. That's Michael Heath, number 18 on the grass, on board with him now. He just about keeps control, rejoins, but way down the pack. It's a bumpy moment for him. We're on board now with number 88, Stephen McMurray, and to the left there, you can see number 21, Jason Hennifer, running wide onto the grass and drawing alongside us now, number 16, Johnny Van Jones, has made a great start to this race. They're absolutely neck and neck, almost touching now into the braking zone. They go down the gears and into the left-hander at Rocket, and he's just about fended him off. No, he hasn't, runs a little bit wide, and Johnny Van Jones comes through. They were absolutely together all the way up the straight, and meanwhile Craig Brookfield has got the lead of the race. So Brookfield leads, Paul is down to second, then it's Johnny Van Jones, and then in 4th place it's Stephen McMurray. There's 21 Jason Hennifer, who's lost a lot of places from the front row of the grid as they work their way now down the corkscrew for the first time, on board with Lee Bowron trying to make up some positions from the middle of the pack. There is the race leader from 3rd on the grid, Brookfield, and a little bit of contact there, running into the back of Michael Ellis in the Class C car with your on-board man Lee Bowron, but they get away with it and they survive as the rest of the field comes down through the corkscrew. We've got a spinner here on the end of lap 1. It's Andrew Roach, the novice driver, number 56, but he keeps the engine running. The front wheel spin and back onto the track he goes. Well recovered that, and he will rejoin not too far down the order. Stephen McMurray there, number 88, with a decent start to this race from 5th on the grid. You're on board now with Tony Rudd trying to work his way up from 10th on the grid in the number 14 car, and to the right, look, somebody on the grass, another driver on the grass at the banking. Michael Heath on the first lap, and it's Jason Hennifer, number 21, the reigning XR3i class champion in this category, who's had a disastrous start to the race. There's the number 10 car of Neil Oldham, and we're going to get a replay now of Michael Heath. This is his run into the hairpin in the first lap. He gets down the inside, gets up into 4th place, and then Johnny Van Jones loses it. Michael takes avoiding action, loses the back end, and goes onto the grass. So it was all very lively, and it's very lively at the front of the field as well. Look at this, they're absolutely together here. The pole position man, Steve Poole, trying to get back ahead of Craig Brookfield. They're side by side now as they run towards the right-hander at Peel. Poole has got the inside line, and he gets the lead of the race. So Poole back up to 1st position. Brookfield trying to come back at him as they go down the corkscrew. Johnny Van Jones still there in 3rd place, but leading his category back on board with Stephen McMurray as he runs down through the corkscrew now. He's there in 4th place. And in 5th place, we've got number 4, Andrew Lenny, who's made a very good start to the race from 9th on the grid. On board with Michael Heath, number 18, trying to work his way back through the order after being on the grass right at the first lap of the race. He's onto the tail now of number 7, Peter Futers, and they run now out through the last corner onto the start-finish straight. Michael Heath right on the tail of the man ahead as they go over to start a new lap. Here are the top 3, and having got the lead of the race, Steve Poole has just started to edge away a little bit, and there's a change there for 4th position as number 4, Andrew Lenny, dives down the inside of Stephen McMurray with the onboard camera, but he's run a little bit wide as they come into the very fast right-hander at Church, and McMurray fights back, gets his nose in front, they almost touch. Lenny to the left here has to give way, and back in front now, nosing onto the straight, goes Stephen McMurray, but look at the shadow on the left, he's coming back at him here in the number 4 XR3i, and Andrew Lenny has now got his nose in front, and he's also got the inside line for a rocket. They almost touch again, late on the brakes, turn left, turn right, but Lenny's done it, he's got through and into 4th place. That's 5 positions gained now for Andrew Lenny. Just behind them in 6th position is Michael Ellis in the more modern ST Fiesta, the Class C car. And you're on board now with Lee Bower on number 62. He's just out of the top 6, doing good things from 8th on the grid. There he goes on the way towards Pill Corner. Just behind him is the number 19 car of John Biddulph, which has made a great start all the way up from 15th on the grid. And he's there in the top 8 now as you go back on board with Michael Heath, and he dives up the inside into Rocket and now gets ahead of Peter Futers in the number 7 car. Back to the leaders as Steve Poole runs a little bit wide through turn 1, and look at this battle for 2nd place as Johnny Van Jones dives down the inside. He's not quite level, and he almost made contact there with number 36 Craig Brookfield, but wisely backed off out of it. Back on board now with Tony Rudd coming up from 10th on the grid, and he's about to gain a place here down the inside on the way into the banking, and he's got ahead of number 64 Steve Clapton. Both of these working their way up through the order. He comes now up this short straight, this link straight towards the right-hander at Church, and coming back at him on the right-hand side, look, here's Steve Clapton. Down the inside he goes, and back onto the grass, too wide here for Tony Rudd. He bumps and barges all over the grass. Look at him go. He's still keeping it going. It's still pretty wet grass. He's lost 2-3 places. He's going to lose a couple more as he loses all of his momentum. And now we've got the leaders side by side again, and Craig Brookfield has got down the inside here and got the lead of the race back from Steve Poole. They've switched around again. That's number 19, John Biddulph, coming past us, past Lee Boron with the onboard camera to pick up another place. He's going great guns from 15th on the grid as the top 3 now absolutely nose to tail work their way down this fantastic section at the corkscrew. Back on board now with Lee Boron, closing back up, and he gets the place back, straight back down the inside of John Biddulph to regain a position inside the top 8. And as the leaders went past, it looked like in 3rd place, Johnny Van Jones was lining up a move to try and get down the inside of Steve Poole on the way into turn 1. He's done it, he's gone 2nd. So now we've got Craig Brookfield leading into 2nd place, number 16, Johnny Van Jones, who is the leading XR3i, and then Steve Poole, who led 30-odd seconds ago, finds himself down in 3rd place, a screech of tyres, oh dear. Lee Boron has spun, or lost control anyway, on the way into the banking. What caused it, we didn't quite see. More action here, that's number 21, Jason Hennifer, who had a really poor start to the race, having qualified 2nd. He's trying to find his way back up through the order and trying to get back around the outside of Peter Futers. He had a bad start, he went on the grass as well at one point. Now back on board, this is a replay, and he got a whack from behind. That's Lee Boron getting hit from behind, and that's what sent him into the spin. And this is a replay of Stephen McMurray losing a place here because he got all crossed up on the way into the final turn, and ahead of him went number 60 Michael Ellis, and he's well annoyed with himself, as you can see. There is number 60, Michael Ellis, qualified 6th, but he's now starting to make good progress, having got ahead of the orange number 88, Stephen McMurray car. Back on board here, some great action, some great shots from Tony Rudd. He's drawing alongside the number 3 car of Pete Lancaster. Just ahead, we've got the number 63, Terry Callagher, Ford Escort as well. Here they all come. There's the number 14 car to the left of the picture with the onboard camera, looking to get up the inside of Lancaster. A little touch there, Lancaster gets the back end out of shape. Oh, and then they make contact and go off. He goes off, number 3 Lancaster onto the grass. And temporarily, at least, out of the race. He's kept the engine running. He'll get back going again, but he's going to be right at the back of the field. Here's a replay. Number 14, Rudd, looks at the inside, just clips the back end of Lancaster, then tries to get at the inside again, and Lancaster turns into him. They make contact. Lancaster comes off worse, and he'll be a bit frustrated by all of that. And here's a replay on board with Tony Rudd of the same incident. There we go, little tag up the inside, and then a big contact. He gets completely crossed up as well to keep it roughly pointed in the right direction. It's a rather eventful race so far. As luck, Johnny Fan Jones, number 16, gets the lead of the race. That's our 3rd different leader in this race. They're not afraid to overtake in the CFT Services Ford XR Challenge, are they? And here's one that's been doing lots of it. Number 18, Michael Heath, charging his way up through the order, down the inside of number 64, Steve Clapton, and another place gained, having been almost at the back of the field. He's now climbing up into the top 10. Bit of a moment on the grass there for Steve Clapton as well. There's number 62, Llewellyn, trying to recover, having been shoved off onto the grass a lap ago. So he's working his way through. Another one working his way through just behind is Jason Hennifer, number 21. Back on board with Rudd, who's been in the wars. He's now about to move past the number 35, Ron Lofstad, XR3i. Pete Lancaster, though, I'm afraid, in with damage and out of the race. Here are our top 3 then. Johnny Fan Jones leads the way in the XR3i, and then it's the 2 XR2s of Brookfield and Poole. And then in 4th place now, Andrew Lenny, number 4, and 5th place, we've got Michael Ellis. So representatives of all 3 classes running within the top 5 here, which shows how closely matched it is. A little bit wide there for Andrew Lenny, and Michael Heath tries to nip up the inside, but can't quite find a way through. And that's Craig Brookfield, number 36, one of the top 3 contenders, running onto the grass, making a mistake, and he's going to drop from 2nd down to 3rd now. And that is Jason Hennifer, number 21, coming past Lee Boron with the onboard camera, but he runs wide on the way into the back straight, and Lee surely is going to nip back up the inside of him and get the place back. And more side-by-side action. Here's Michael Heath going wheel to wheel here with Andrew Lenny. Who's going to brave it out? It's going to be Heath in the number 60 ST car that will have the inside line for Peel, and he gets through up to 4th place. Andrew Lenny, number 4, down to 5th position. On the way down the corkscrew, there you go. There's Johnny Fan Jones. There in 2nd place is Paul. After the mistake, Brookfield there in 3rd. And then number 60, Michael Heath. Then Lenny in 5th. And into 6th place now, number 19, John Biddulph. Ahead of 7th place, Stephen McMurray. And there we've got number 8, Ralph Ferneyhoff, under attack from this man with the onboard camera, Michael Heath, just on the tail end of the top 10, these 2. They come onto the start-finish straight, and Michael Heath right onto the tail now of Ferneyhoff. This is a replay and a lost position there for Stephen McMurray. So that's how number 19 got ahead of him. John Biddulph continuing his charge through the order. There's the 3rd place car of Brookfield. Being caught, I think, by Michael Heath, Andrew Lenny, and they're all being caught by the number 19 car of John Biddulph. Back on board with Tony Rudd, closing up to the tail of Terry Callagher in the number 63 XR3i. He's a little bit scruffy on the way through Rocket, coming under pressure now. On board with Terry as he works away at the wheel and goes up through the gears, heading towards Peel Corner, but coming under attack now from number 14, Tony Rudd. Tony up the inside. That's where he came to grief a couple of laps ago. He runs wide again, and Terry Callagher comes back at him. They're going to be absolutely together as they're running to the left-hander at the corkscrew. Callagher is on the outside, Rudd is on the inside. Who's going to brave it out? It's going to be Callagher. Fantastic stuff here from Anglesey. Join us for more after the break. Welcome back to Anglesey as we pick up the race with Johnny Fan Jones continuing to lead, just stretching away now from Steve Poole in this CFT Services Ford XR Championship. And there into the barriers was number 4, Andrew Lenny, who had been going great guns. He got up into the top 5. You're on board now with Terry Callagher as he works his way through the first corner. There he is ahead, because you're on board now with Tony Rudd, who's been chasing him for a couple of laps. Tony dives down the inside on the way into the banking at the start of this lap, gets down the inside, and that looks like a clean pass as Andrew Lenny gets back on track and back underway. But look, with some damage to the car, he's damaged the front left wheel, which is rubbing against the tyre, so that doesn't look too good for him. On board with Michael Heath as he lunges at the inside of number 8, Ralph Fernie-Hoff, and gets the place. There's the race leader. Michael Heath is one who's coming right up through the order, having been on the grass at the start of the race. He was quick enough to qualify 5th. You're on board now with Lee Bower, number 62. He's been swapping places time and time again with number 21, Jason Hennifer. Jason, who qualified 2nd, dropped right down the order after a bad first couple of laps, but he's coming back up. Number 10, Neil Oldham, running down the order a little bit, but still going strongly. And back on board now with Lee Boron as he works his way down through the corkscrew, trying to chase Jason Hennifer. There is Hennifer in the number 21 car, but he is now pulling away quite quickly. Back on board with Michael Heath. Already he's got himself onto the tail now of number 88, Stephen McMurray, and he's getting towards the top 6 finish here. Still a little bit damp offline, but Michael Heath has found a gap. He dives at the inside, on board with McMurray as Michael Heath in the number 18 XR2 comes through with a good clean overtaking manoeuvre. Michael on a real charge here. There's Andrew Roach still going, the novice driver. A bit smoky the car, had a spin on lap 1, but he's still running and gaining valuable experience. Here's the driver who started on pole position, Steve Poole. Led for a little while, was 3rd for a while, but now he's 2nd. There is the race leader, number 16, John Ifan Jones. Poole about 2 seconds behind him now, both of them pulling away from Craig Brookfield, the earlier race leader, who went onto the grass coming out of church and lost a lot of momentum there. And there's Michael Heath, number 18, ahead now of Stephen McMurray. There's number 8, Ralph Fernie-Hoff, coming under attack from the number 64 car of Steve Clapton. The pair of them just outside the top 8. And here's number 7, Peter Futers, coming under close scrutiny from number 35, Ron Lofstadt. These two have been nose to tail for a couple of laps now, working their way down through the corkscrew, dropping downhill, and he has a look at the inside, makes contact, and Ron Lofstadt hits number 7, Peter Futers. They both come off. Futers spins. Lofstadt keeps going again, gets back on track. It's going to take Peter Futers a while to point back in the right direction and get going again. And he ends up losing 1 place, but lost a lot of time with all of that. Happily though, they both continue. Further up the order, more action here. Good move that from number 64, Steve Clapton. Although Ralph Fernie-Hoff is trying to stay with him around the outside. He has to relent in the end though. And here's a replay of that move. Well, it's a bit 50-50. Difficult place to overtake that, and Ron Lofstadt ends up hitting Peter Futers. And on board now with Stephen McMurray as he runs a little bit wide through Rocket, gets completely crossed up, and up the inside of him comes Steve Clapton. So number 64, Steve Clapton, he's starting to pick up quite a few places here in the final stages of this race as we get number 19 going wheel to wheel with number 18. That is John Biddulph going wheel to wheel with Michael Heath. The pair of them doing lots of overtaking in this race, but it's Heath who comes out on top. He gets ahead, back then down behind him goes John Biddulph, and behind the pair of them now you got number 64, Steve Clapton on board behind all of them with Steve McMurray. And there's a car tipping over. It's number 64, Steve Clapton, and I think he clipped as well and took out John Biddulph, and the car has rolled and rolled again. And I think he clipped the barriers on the inside of the final turn, and it's brought out the red flags. We're towards the end of the race anyway, and there's a replay. Look at the car going right over, landing on its roof. He did clip and take out number 19, John Biddulph, and the car lands on its roof. Happily, these cars are very strong with roll cages inside. The driver is okay, and so too is John Biddulph. The red flags come out though, and it means that the race winner, the first of 3 races here this weekend, is John Ifan Jones. What a spectacular race that was. Ifan Jones winning in the end from Steve Poole, Craig Brookfield 3rd, Michael Ellis 4th, Michael Heath charging back up to 5th place, and Steve McMurray rounds out the top 6.
When you get a grid like that where there's a mixture of XR2s and XR3Is on both front and second rows, it's always going to be a little bit hectic off the line. But we've got a pretty good start and got ahead quite early on.
Are you out there thinking about your class, or do you just want to win the race overall?
If I had my sensible head on, I should just stick to my class and win the class. But once you're out there in the heat of battle, you want to win overall, yeah.
Certainly for the first half of the race, quite a decent battle that, wasn't it? Did you enjoy it?
Yeah, it was very close, wasn't it? Yeah, very close between the 3 of us to begin with. But then I lost second gear. So like going up through the complex, tight corners, I couldn't get into the right gear to pull me through the corners fast enough. So in the end, I sort of just ended up sort of having half-hearted attempts at trying to get back past Craig, and gave up and just waiting for him to try and make a mistake, you know. But luckily, luckily down the back straight, run wide onto the grass and lost enough speed for me to just cruise past him.
Got a good start and got off the line well, and I thought we were going to pull away after the first 2 laps, but it wasn't to be. I made a mistake on about the 3rd lap, went to the grass and sort of slowly went backwards. So, but no, happy with 3rd. It was quite a good result.
You're busy racing this weekend, but you went for a call, quite an important call.
I am really, yeah. My wife's due with our 2nd child literally tomorrow, so I'm waiting for her. I'm literally going to get changed now and dash straight home. But yeah, it's worrying time. It's always in the back of your mind when you're out there that you know that she could be ringing my phone back in the pit. So glad it's over in one respect.
Have you timed the run home and run to the hospital?
An hour and a half, so hopefully I'll make it in time. So I should be all right. I've not had the phone call, so well, I've got tomorrow to go. So fingers crossed she can hold off till next week.
Well, the car was a mess after that late race roll, but happily Steve Clapton, the driver, was okay and able to talk to us after the race.
Past 2 or 3, and thought I'd just try one more, and I took the corner a bit too tight and caught the tyres, and that's the result. They're just trying a bit too hard. Shame me, I'm not racing tomorrow now.
Yeah, it looks like, you know, with the best weather in the world, you're not going to get this fixed, are you, for the rest of the weekend?
Not even I can fix this one.
Many congratulations then to our top 3 from the first race of the weekend. Still 2 more races to come though, and some challenging conditions ahead as the coastal weather takes a turn for the worse. The sunshine is replaced by heavy rain, and the drivers face a tough challenge in the battle to become champion of Anglesey.